Here we go. Well, I don't have any. So you're really far ahead of me, which is just brilliant. Okay. Yay. And we had some people who were messaging
Oh, yeah.
on the Facebook because they're pretty pumped to see your chat as well. So I'm quite excited to have you over here then.
Excellent stuff.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, everybody, welcome to today's Eat and Greet, or hopefully in the next hour or so, we're going to give you something that is worth the time that you took to show up. And I definitely think that we will. This is a topic that I just do not know pretty much anything about except for the astrology part. I guess maybe a little bit in palm reading, but I was really pumped to find Peter Burns, who's going to talk to us about the astro palmistry. Like that's a whole, it just sounds mysterious, Peter. It's a good
Uh,
title. It's a good
it's a
title.
great title, isn't it? Astro Palmistry, yes.
Yeah.
Certainly something that not everybody knows a lot about, and which is a great shame. It's a fantastic shame because astrologers would have so much benefit for their clients if only they knew how to read the hands, because the two go together so easily, hand in hand, to excuse a pun. But yes, yeah. In India, Stormy, the majority of astrologers also read the hands.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, yeah, so that's huge. Yeah, and they comprise the majority of the world's astrologers, of course.
Yeah. Well, and it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I don't know. I just don't think that we were given anything on the body that is pointless. So we think about these lines and, not just our fingerprints are important, but what do these deep lines mean? I think, I don't know, for me, moving around the realm of the esoteric and metaphysical, it seems like everything has a point and a purpose. So why would
Yes,
these not
yes.
be the same?
Well, exactly, exactly. I used to do readings extensively when I started back in the 80s, but I do remember an incident. Oh, it's probably 10, 15 years ago now, but I was consulting this gentleman who was very persuasive and very good and very intellectual and very sort of entertaining as well. And I was telling him about the transits, progressions, and things to his charts and things like that. And I was telling him about the Saturn transits, and he had a Pluto coming in over there and this sort of thing. And no, didn't notice much about that. So we kept going and going. And when it came for him to leave, the time for him to leave, I said, I forgot, excuse me, but I forgot to ask you if I can have a quick look at your hands. And so he put out his hands, and immediately I knew he'd been telling fibs the whole way through. His hands showed he was in a mess. And he admitted immediately, yes, wasn't quite sure what I said. That's what you call a door handle question, somebody that is asking a question or just as they're going out. But
Yeah.
yeah, so the hands are very, very clear because they show they show the effects of the past. They show the present state of mind, and they show where you are going in the future should you continue your present behavior. And sitting behind this is the understanding that the lines on the hands do change. So if you change your behavior, these will change accordingly. Isn't that
Wow.
interesting? Now,
Now I'm
most
sitting
people,
here staring at my hands. Look, this is
yeah,
I
most people think it's fixed for life, like it's engraved into stone. But no, no, no. Only the important lines will change, and they won't always. But for some people, we see remarkable changes. Yeah, it's interesting.
wow, yes. And okay, so I want to get in and have this conversation, but I ask
Yes,
everybody first, how
yes.
did you get into astrology just in general? How did you come to Astrology Island?
Well, it's because I was studying. Went a long time back to university when I did a degree in sociology and Eastern religions, and there the focus was on the Hindu philosophy, which is the background for their religion, of course. But it was very esoteric in a way, but it explained the meaning of life and how the mind works and so forth. And that was sort of an initial stepping stone, which led to then other things. And then I met my previous wife, who was very interested in all things esoteric and very, very different. And it was through those influences that, and then I left my profession, my job. It wasn't a profession, it was a job. I used to work in banks and finance companies, and
Okay.
and I hated it so much. I just couldn't stand it. And so eventually I discovered this thing called self-employment, where you survive on
Beautiful,
your
isn't
wits.
it?
Well, it's risky this way and that, but you're thrown on your wits and you have to survive. So I went out and started consulting with palmistry, and it was the beginning of a new life. Yes, I started really in a place called Fremantle, which is in Western Australia, which is Western Fremantle and Perth. They're the same city, really. They are a very remote city from anywhere in the world, really. Hundreds of miles of desert and the Indian Ocean and so forth around it. So, but yeah, so a fantastic time there at the Fremantle markets, which is very, very busy, cosmopolitan, and we had people from everywhere in the world come through there. And the farmers from up north, from the wheat belts, these big, stocky, tough guys used to come down and sit in front of me and say, "What about that? What do you think?" Whoa. So I had to get it right. With palmistry, you have to get it right. And the person you're consulting knows whether you've got it right or not. It's a bit like somebody calling somebody an Aries when they're really a Libran, or vice versa. They know the difference. Even if they don't know the right words to use, they know that, that doesn't quite sound quite like me. It's the same with the hands. Yeah.
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 Wow.
So,
And so then how did you start advancing this more into the astrology practice? Because you obviously are teaching about it now. So what was the point where you said, okay, I need to actually take this out into talk about it?
well, it actually worked the other way around. Strangely enough, I came in through the back door, so to speak. I started with palmistry, and then 70 or 5 or 6 years later, I started integrating that with astrology. So I
Okay.
know that the hands, for example, are without peer in the diagnostic professions for their speed and accuracy of interpretation, even much quicker than, say, a horoscope, because you're carrying two maps with you.
Mm.
One represents the inner world and one represents the outer world, and they're always there, and they keep, they're a reflection of you. So and the psychological component to the hands is very evident. If you want to get into how people act and their motivations and the deeper reasons behind things, a study of the hands is one of the best things you can ever do, because they reflect the health and they reflect the well-being, mental and emotional and physical as well, with those three areas very, very well.
Yeah, so we have a question from the chat already. When
Right,
you were
yes.
talking just a little bit, I know you haven't even presented anything yet, and we're so
Oh, that's right.
excited. So
I'll have a sip.
when you say that people's lines in their hands can change, is it the same concept of progressed lines are the same as like a progressed chart?
It's probably not. But it could be, Stormy. It could be. It's not my understanding that that would be the case. It's quite possible. It's simply, I can remember, for example, somebody I know quite closely. He had a very big break in his lifeline. Now, the lifeline represents the life force, the energy of your physical being. And if it stops short or has a big break in it, therefore you're likely to have a big break in your physical energy. Now, that can be sickness, it can be an accident, it could be death, it could be waning enthusiasm or motivation for things, because the lifeline, which represents the sun's energy, the solar force, represents all those things. He was living a very wild life at the time. He was smoking and drinking, and he was a party boy,
He
pretty
was a
wild
party
party
boy.
boy, a good party boy, but a pretty wild party boy. And Yeah, so, but he started getting into trouble with the law and various different things, in small ways. And one day he realised he had to change his life. So he went off and he studied naturopathy and the healing arts and various things. And anyway, a year or so later, I checked his hands again, and that big break was no longer there. So he'd made a major, highly significant change where basically he'd saved his own life in a sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
That was amazing to see. Amazing.
oh, I bet. So something happened and you got a little bit quiet on your side.
Oh,
There
how
you
is
are.
that now?
Oh, beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, well, I'm set. I'm ready. I've got my beverage. You have yours. We're set
Yes.
for the eat part of our greet. And I'm gonna sit back and watch what you have to share with us because I'm ready.
All right. So great, Stormy. It's great to have an enthusiastic audience. So I'll just run through a few slides. These are slides I prepared for a lecture in India, but which didn't actually take place because of COVID. But I have them, so I'll just jump through a number of them and we can talk at any time and go back and forward and so forth. So it's just a basic intro. You can see my screen?
Yes, we're
Oh,
solid.
good. Okay, that's good. Let me just see if I can work my screen. There we go. So just going back to previous times, once astrology and palmistry were called, they went together hand in hand. And as I've mentioned, Indian astrologers often practice both, which is a fantastic advantage. And so one of the big advantages of actually combining the two is to, if you're an astrologer, now I'm speaking to astrologers here, I think, is that it helps you identify which part of the horoscope actually manifests in real life.
Yeah.
I
Oh, you
don't know
got
whether you've
quiet
had.
again. Sorry. I know.
So,
Okay, go.
how's that? Is that a bit better?
A little bit. Yeah.
How's that now? Better?
Yeah.
Okay. So, one of the important things about combining the horoscope with palmistry is it helps you identify, if you're an astrologer, which part of the horoscope actually manifests in real life. So I don't know whether you've had the experience, Stormy, you probably have, if you're like other astrologers, you're looking at a horoscope with all these different symbols and the houses and the signs and the aspects and antecedent and all the rest of it. Which part of that actually is influencing my client at the moment? Well, you've got some ideas because of aspects and so forth, but sometimes it's hard to tell what's most important. The hands help you identify exactly which part is important because they show which aspect of the horoscope is actually manifesting in real life. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Okay. I'm so sorry, but we can't hear you again.
Oh, I might, yes,
Yes.
yes, hey, we found the solution. So, and the hands provide an understanding of how the dynamic chart patterns, like say the different aspects, actually are expressed.
Mm.
Now we hear different arguments between people about, say, the receptions between planets and aspect and so forth. Well, it's all very interesting and theoretical, but the hands will often show or give you a guidance on actually how it actually does work, because they show these are organic, they're with us, they're physical, they are the result. The hands are the result of the chart, how the chart manifests. That's the major connection. I'm going to come back to that one. It's incredibly important. And they provide a clear picture of the hands of the client's state of mind and their emotional well-being. Yeah, it's really obvious sometimes. Even somebody without any training at all will look at the hands, oh, they're very clear lines, or they'll say, oh, what a mess, what a mess. It can be as simple as that. Yep. Some people are very clear and very direct and they know what they're on. They're leading a good, straightforward life, so to speak. Other people, they're swimming and they've got problems. And it's obvious. It's obvious from the hands.
I
You
know. Well,
don't
now
need.
I'm going like this, Peter. I'm like, am I a mess? Am I a mess? Oh my God.
I can't tell from here, but whenever I teach or speak about it, everybody does that. It's normal. Don't feel.
Oh, good.
Yes. What about me is the big expression. What about me? It isn't fair. So there they do this. So, and they also, this is another very interesting point. The hands provide a timing correlation to validate transits and to provide information on how the transits are likely to manifest. And we can look ahead on the hands because they do show what's likely to take place, so to speak, or where you're going in life, should you continue doing things the way you're doing them now. If you don't like what's coming, or change what's happening now. It's sort of fairly simple. Yeah.
It's so funny. I'm watching in the chat. We're all laughing because everybody's doing that.
Yeah. It's normal. So they're a fantastic indicator of psychological health and general well-being. As I said, the past, the present, and the future. And really, the hand, when they're combined, what you've got is a diagnostic tool that is without peer. Like nothing equals it in terms of speed and accuracy and depth. You know, I used to do readings at the Fremantle markets. I did that for 7 years. I saw about 30 people every week. And, you know, and then I've done another decade or two after that elsewhere. So I just know that, you know, there's nothing that comes near it. And you have to be able to get it right. And you should be able to do a fairly complete synopsis within 20 minutes of meeting the clients. Yeah, really. Now, I know some astrologers will take some hours over a horoscope. I can't do that, but some have got a very detailed mind. They're ones with long fingers. I'll do it that way. It's their nature. But, you know, you can do it. It's very good. And it's very good for people like teachers or nurses or anybody that's in the helping professions, whichever one it might be, because if you've got even a basic idea of what the hands are, you know how to talk to the person. You know how to talk their language. There's 3 sorts of languages. There's the intellectual types, there's the emotional feeling types, and there's the physical types. They're the 3 sorts.
Love it. And so this is kind of just gives you you're in.
Yes, that's right. It gives you an in to the situation. Yeah, if you're helping children, well, the same thing. So just a bit on terminology. When I went to study initially with a man named Andrew Verity back in the early 80s, he called it chirology. And if you know a bit about astrology, you would have heard of the planet Chiron, and which is really Sagittarius, of course, in the larger. That's another story.
That's another eat and greet.
So Chiron means hand and ology means study of. And while it's a very accurate word, it's not something the public really goes for, doesn't understand what it is. So we speak instead about hand analysis and hand reading. They're the 2 most common words. Here we're calling it palmistry, which is commercially attractive, but it implies that only the palm is read, which is not true. Somebody who reads the hands, if you're going to be a hand reader, you need to know first how to read the shape, because the lines process what's contained in the shape of the hand. So if the shape, we can look at Barack Obama's hands a bit later on, if you like, and his hand shape shows he's a sensitive intellectual type, a very persuasive man. So all the lines on his hand, for example, will be about using and ideas and all of that and talking. Yeah, so it's all about the intellectual component, yeah, to a large extent anyway. And it's the same as some of his shows, got very soft, tender hands. They'll be more into the emotions. So, yeah. So palmistry is really not that accurate a term, but we have to use it because otherwise people don't know what we're talking about. And for astrologers, as I mentioned before, the hands show the manifested horoscope. It's not the other way around. It's not that we start with the hands and go to the horoscope. It is definitely this way. The hands show what you manifest from the horoscope. Yeah.
Wow.
And, you know, a lot of the time when I read for astrologers, They say, oh, well, I've got Jupiter in Sagittarius or something or other. Where's that show in my hand? So I'm saying to them, well, it doesn't actually work that way. What the hands show is the result of Jupiter in Sagittarius or Mercury in Capricorn or whatever it is you're talking about, you see. You won't see it precise. The hands don't mimic the horoscope. They show which aspects of the horoscope are expressed in real life. It's a bit of a subtle difference, but it's worth thinking about. Yes.
Yeah. You want to grab your mic again?
Oh, yep. How's that? A bit better?
A little quiet.
Hello. Testing 1, 2, 3. No? Testing 1, 2, 3.
It seems like when they're more forward, that's louder.
Is that better?
I think so. Here, let's talk. Okay, go.
I might get rid of these altogether. That might help.
Yeah, that might be easier. You want to try that real quick?
Okay, I've just got to rearrange. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I'll continue.
Okay.
So this is what everybody does, Stormie. They put up their hands. Now, one hand, of course, is the inner world, and one's the outer world. We call one the inner or the yin hand, passive. Are you a right-hander or a left-hander, Stormie?
I'm a right-hander.
Yes. So 90% of the population are. So for most people, the right hand is what we call the dominant or the active hand, and the left hand is the inner. It represents the inner world, the feelings, the wants. So the two hands together, one hand shows more or less what you want, and the other hand shows how you're going to go and get it, the strategies that you'll employ to do that. Yeah. So the outer hand shows more survival strategies, coping behaviors, and so forth. And it all starts as a baby and as a child, of course, and what we want is mum and dad's approval. And so it all goes from there. They're the basic wants and desires that most of us start with. Unless you're too hungry, you'll be a desire for food. But assuming that you've got a reasonable background in terms of survival, it'll be getting approval and love from one's parents. So it all starts from that particular spot, really. We're talking about desires and wants.
Yeah. Do you want to ditch your headphones? Because we can't hear you.
I'm going to ditch the headphones.
Ditch the headphones.
Okay. Give me a moment now. I'm going to turn these off.
Mercury retrograde's a ride, y'all. It's a super good time.
Now off.
Brilliant.
All right. Can you hear me now, Stormie?
Yes, it's steady. And now I think he can't hear us.
No voice. I can't do anything either, actually.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
You can't hear me?
Yeah.
Can't hear you.
Okay, I'm going to the chat, you guys. I mean, not our chat. I'm going to go to Peter's chat. Hold on.
Good flow there. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing.
Can you hear me?
Go to the audio.
This is a shine. Audio. Oh, that's this.
Well, you guys, Mercury retrograde has got a point on us so far. Oh, look, it's so funny. We're like watching this whole thing happen.
We'll just go down here and see what it's connected to.
Teamwork is making the dream work.
You know that.
Speakers, how's that? Can you hear me, Stormie?
Oh, yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Yeah, she's nodding.
Oh, I can't hear her. I can't hear you.
Okay, look in Zoom.
So you haven't got any microphone plugged in?
No, she can hear me.
Yeah.
So the microphone is plugged in.
Why don't you just use the computer?
Well, I would if I could. I don't know how. How do I do that? Maybe I'll do that.
Just unplug everything.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Stormie, how's it going there? Can you hear me? Yes? I can't hear you, though, at all.
That's okay. That's okay.
It's going to be a problem because I can't hear what you're saying.
It's okay.
Can't hear.
I might have to go back to the speakers.
Yeah. Yes. Go back to your headphones. This is so funny. Can you hear me?
These ones work pretty well.
I know. You guys, Mercury retrograde is winning.
So, Stormie, can you hear me now?
Yep.
You can.
Can you hear
I
me?
wish I could hear you. I can't hear anything.
You just try this. Yeah. And where's the audio jack?
Oh, no, it's not over there. Oh, this is there.
It's here?
No. No, try that.
How's that?
What is it?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Yes? Still can't hear you, though. Can you say something, Stormie?
Yep. I think you can't hear me. That's okay.
Is it plugged into the outlet or the inlet?
She can hear me. I can't hear her. Outlet or inlet, I don't know where they are, what they are.
It's often two. One's the inlet and one's the outlet. What's this? What's this?
It's power. That's power. No, I've got to go back to the headphones. Thank you. This is terrible showing.
Okay. That's okay. You can just talk. Yeah, just talk.
So, we keep going. I can't hear anything, Stormie, so you're going to have to guide me with hand signals.
I'll guide with my palms.
All right. So we're talking about the two hands, and we've got one hand as the inner world and one hand as the outer world. And so one is more reflective of the sun and one of the moon, is speaking to astrologers. I think we're going to stop. Sorry, we have to stop this. It's not working. I can't hear you. Can't hear anything.
Okay. All right, you guys, hold on. We're going to go out for a minute and then we will likely come back in. So hang tight. We're getting it together over in the in Zoom world. So be patient with us for just a second here.
Hi. Can you say something, Stormie?
Can you hear me?
I say maybe we should do this. Yes, you can hear me.